truth be told, I often walk over the bridge because as much as I love to drive over the bridge at a fast speed, walking gives you more time to savor everything that you're crossing over. From the industrial area on Anderson, over the railroad tracks, seeing all the freight coming in and out, crossing the historic LA River, and then descending into the west side and into what's known as the Arts District, which is my home, my neighborhood, where I've lived since 1994. You know, I love watching movies that were shot in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, where you can really see how the area's not really changed that much up until this point. And I sort of like that gritty nature in an industrial area. To me, that was what attracted me to downtown almost 25 years ago. When Karen and I were first here, it was a desolate, transient place with really no amenities. Now, 20 years later, the neighborhood has never been this good. Everything that I described in Tamir's film Urban Outlaw 4 years ago has come to fruition. You know, it started with the loft conversions and art galleries, and now it's moved into the coffee shops and restaurants. And I think the next 5 to 10 years is going to be a drastic change to the Arts District neighborhood. And I think for the most part, it'll be a change for the better. The 6th Street Bridge was built in 1932. It was designed by Merrill Butler, who was in charge of designing and constructing all the bridges that started basically at Glendale Boulevard and stretched all the way down to Olympic Boulevard. It was a major expansion time for LA starting in the 1920s, and these bridges really have been iconic for almost 100 years. But to many people, the bridge is more than just poured concrete and some steel girders in the middle. It's something that's always been there. If ever I just wanted to go put some pedal to the metal, get the blood pumping, get some adrenaline flowing through my veins, I always knew I could rely on the 6th Street Bridge to give me that kick. We're basically about 2 weeks away from the bridge being closed down for the final time, and it's going to be a 4-year tear down and construction of a new project. So the whole reason that the bridge has been torn down is basically suffering from what's known as concrete cancer. Essentially, the alkaline mixture of the aggregate when the bridge was built in 1932 had a chemical reaction, and the bridge has been crumbling from within, decaying over the past 80 years. Several attempts have been put into place to try and retrofit or patch or stop that cancer, but it's got to the point where it's unable to be contained, and the bridge is decaying, doesn't meet today's current earthquake seismic tests. So it was decided that the bridge would be torn down and replaced with a new modern structure. So I've decided to organize what I'm calling the 6th Street Bridge Farewell Outlaw Gathering, and it's open to everybody. Doesn't matter what you drive, everyone's invited to this, and I think it's going to be a great farewell to the historic bridge, and hopefully we'll get a couple of hundred cars on the bridge all at one time and see how it goes. Having lived within half a mile of the historic, iconic 6th Street Bridge for almost 25 years, last night really was the pinnacle of all things centered around the bridge. As we all know, I'm literally right around the corner from there, so I took my little stealth shortcut on the south end of the bridge, drove over there in car 277. It was literally almost like a mob frenzy. It was almost as if I had to part the waves of people just to be able to drive in and under the bridge. And pulling in really was a fun moment, just to see the amount of support of people that were there. Thankfully, my buddies had saved me a parking spot, and when I got out the car, there were probably several hundred people gathered around, and I didn't move from within 10 feet of my car for at least possibly an hour. Just an overwhelming amount of people that wanted to come up, share their support, get photos taken with me, and last night really brought it home. It was sort of like a farewell to the historic 6th Street Bridge, and it was almost a landmark day for me, because that will probably be the last time a lot of people drive on that bridge. But it also showed me the amount of love and support for the 6th Street Bridge, and also a surprising amount of love and support for what I'm doing, which is really a surprising thing for me, truth be told. You know, I don't really see myself as any different. I say it all the time. I'm no different to those guys out there. I left school at 15. I'm still struggling to make stuff happen. So I think that's a relatability. But seeing all those 500 plus people that came out there really to show support for myself and the bridge, and just the fact that through a couple of posts on Instagram and Facebook, I was able to activate that diverse a car culture crowd. So last night really for me was just a real special moment, and I thank everybody that came out to support, and it was truly a great event.